As far as the archaeological record shows, the first sentence a human being ever committed to a durable surface is an inventory. It bypasses the high-minded themes of prayer, law, or poetry that we usually associate with the birth of civilization. It is a tally of grain, livestock, or labor. Last episode, we looked for humanity's first word and found nothing. No fossil, no trace. This episode, we have the actual object, and it is, by any literary standard, a tally of barley rations. The first line written by a human being was an ancient spreadsheet. If you prefer your history unromanticized, this arc is for you. Writing, our most consequential information technology, began as a tool for accounting. It was born from the impulse to keep count, not the impulse to tell a story. This reframes the central question of our origin. Did humanity develop this exact accounting solution once and share it? Or did entirely disconnected societies keep arriving at the same answer independently? Popular history suggests the Sumerians of Mesopotamia invented writing in a sudden leap of genius around 3200 BCE. The archaeological record shows a much slower, more mechanical process. Archaeologist Denise Schmandt-Besserat traced the origins of cuneiform back to an 8,000-year-old system of small clay tokens used across the ancient Near East. Each token shape represented a specific commodity. Merchants sealed them inside hollow clay envelopes as a physical record. To identify contents, they pressed the tokens into the soft exterior, creating a pictograph. Scribes soon realized the hidden tokens were unnecessary. The impression alone carried the information. Over centuries, these impressions were abstracted into the wedge-shaped script we call cuneiform, describing the mark left by a reed stylus pressed into wet clay. Writing was the endpoint of thousands of years of incremental abstraction in an ancient accounting system. Literature emerged once the technology built for bookkeeping proved flexible enough to capture memory and myth. While Sumerian cuneiform has the most continuous evidence trail, moving to Egypt introduces a major complication to the timeline. Fully formed Egyptian hieroglyphs appear in the archaeological record only a century after Sumerian proto-writing. This narrow gap suggests a process called stimulus diffusion, driven by the trade contact known to exist between Egypt and Mesopotamia during this period. Hieroglyphic script bears little visual or structural resemblance to cuneiform. Egypt did not copy Sumerian signs, but they likely encountered the general concept that spoken language could be captured in durable marks, and built an original system around it. Does borrowing the idea of writing, rather than the script itself, count as independent invention? Let me know your definition in the comments. Scholars remain divided on this point. It is a genuine definitional fork, where the line between convergence and borrowing is blurred. China represents a clear case of independent invention. There is no plausible route by which Mesopotamian writing could have reached the Yellow River Valley in the Bronze Age. The earliest confirmed Chinese writing comes from oracle bones, used in the late Shang Dynasty. These turtle shells were inscribed with questions for royal diviners. Diviners heated these ancient bones until they cracked, reading the resulting fissures as direct answers from their ancestors or spirits. The puzzle is that this script is already mature. It shows a large, standardized sign inventory and grammatically connected sentences. This level of sophistication is not a first draft. It implies an earlier developmental stage that either hasn't been found or didn't survive. China's writing almost certainly has a much older origin story that the archaeological record has simply failed to produce. Mesoamerica supplies the clearest case of total geographic isolation, yet it also provides the shakiest evidence. The Cascaljal Block is a dramatic candidate for the oldest writing in the Western Hemisphere, potentially dating to 900 BCE. It bears 62 unknown symbols in unique pattern sequences, but without a controlled excavation, it lacks clear stratigraphic dating. Specialists remain divided on its age, and a serious minority even questions if it represents a linguistic system at all, rather than a symbolic one. There is a final candidate often left off the list: the script of the Indus Valley civilization, which flourished between 2600 and 1900 BCE. Despite a century of effort, no one has been able to decipher these inscriptions. Most of the surviving evidence consists of very short strings of symbols on stone seals, typically just a few characters long. This brevity leads some linguists to argue that these symbols do not encode full spoken language, but are instead clan markers or trade tokens. The Indus script represents a potential fifth invention of writing, but because the civilization collapsed centuries early, the data it contains is currently inaccessible. This highlights a critical distinction. Finding an ancient script and reading an ancient script are two separate accomplishments. Hieroglyphs and cuneiform were both unreadable for over a millennium after the last fluent scribes died. Egyptian was only deciphered because the Rosetta Stone happened to preserve the same decree in 3 different scripts, including a known version in Greek. Cuneiform required a similarly massive discovery, the Behistun relief, to allow a full translation of the wedge marks. The Indus script lacks a comparable bilingual text. Without a parallel inscription in a known language, it remains unreadable. This dependency on luck creates a survival bias in the historical record. The list of confirmed independent inventions is likely just the list of civilizations that left behind the specific comparative evidence needed to read them. When we step back from regional debates, a grand pattern of convergence appears. Writing only ever emerged inside societies that had crossed a specific threshold of organizational complexity: dense populations, long-distance trade, and accumulated wealth. It was built by administrators reaching for a way to stop relying on memory to run an economy. They were trying to ensure no one could lie about how much grain they had delivered. The count of independent inventions remains in flux. Sumer is certain. China is missing its start. Meso-America is contested. And Egypt may be a successful act of technological borrowing. Knowing exactly how many times humanity independently reached this solution is a question the evidence still won't fully settle. We have seen the first things humans wrote down. Next time, we look for the first things they might have buried on purpose. Join us for day 153, the first grave.
Thank you for sharing this moment of pure wonder. You are the true magic that fuels this journey. Until next time, remember to shine bright.